Hi friends, this video is to go over the plagiarism quiz. You can use it to check your answers, and if after you watch this video you want to take the plagiarism quiz again, you're welcome to take it again and see if you can bring up your score. All right, let's get started. So we're going to go through the quiz question by question, and the first question is, plagiarism can lead to punishment from the university even if it's done by accident. Even if it's done by accident, excuse me. So true or false? This one is true. As you saw in the video, accidental plagiarism, even if you do plagiarism by mistake, you can still get the punishment. All right, so which of these are possible consequences of plagiarism here at Eastern University? An F for the whole course, getting kicked out, a chance to write the paper again, but not getting a grade higher than C, or an F for the paper or assignment? At Eastern, any of these might be your punishment, but Eastern will not kick you out of the university for your first instance of plagiarism. Depending on how serious it is and what kind of plagiarism, you might get an F for the course and have to take the course again. You might get a chance to write the paper again, or you might have to take an F on the assignment. Can you cite yourself in an academic paper? A lot of you mentioned this in the discussion boards as surprising. You can only cite yourself in an academic paper if you've written something before and you cite what you wrote. So you cite yourself, your own last name, and then the date. So when is it okay to copy and paste text from a source into your paper? We talked about this quite a bit in the week on plagiarism. The only time you can do this is if you need to quote someone directly, and it is in quotation marks. But direct quotes are not very common, and too many can really bring down the quality of your paper. So try to use in quotation marks direct quotes very, very sparingly. The only time that you should be directly quoting is if somebody said something famous. For example, if you're quoting the beginning of the Declaration of Independence, we hold these truths to be self-evident, all men are created equal, right? Those words are so famous that you want to quote them directly. Or maybe what the person said can't be said any other way. Or maybe what the person said, their voice is so specific, or their way of talking is so specific that it won't make sense unless you quote them directly. In general, though, avoid direct quotes. In this next part, we'll look at citations that have a problem and see if you can find the problem and make the edit. So let's look at this first one. According to Rob Dozier of Slate, someone is suing Ed Sheeran for plagiarism. Take a minute, look, see if you can find the mistake. So there are a couple of problems here. The first one is that it's not necessary to directly quote this. This is not a special quotation. It's not famous words or anything like that. So there's no reason for us to quote it directly. And also the citation was missing. The last name, comma, and date were missing from the citation. Now look at this one. See if you can catch the mistake. In this one, the problem is that the person included the first and last name, Rob Dozier, when they did the citation. We should only use the last name, Dozier. Just as a trick, it's not necessary to use this, but it's a good trick to have. In this sentence, because the person's name, Dozier, is already in the sentence, you can just put the date as the citation. So you have two ways to do it. Either you can put the person's last name and then the date, or you can just put the date directly after the author's last name. So if you want to include it that way, you're welcome to do it. Definitely not required. Let's look at the next one. It's pretty easy to see what the issue is here. The citation is missing. We always need to have the citation there. How about this one? Here, there's a problem with the structure of the citation. If you notice that there's a period before the citation, you're right. The period comes after, at the end of the citation. So it's the sentence, the citation, and then the period. How about this one? Here, there are two problems. The first one is that they put a period before the citation, and the other is that they used Slate, which is the name of the magazine, the publication, instead of the last name of the author, Dozier. So make sure that you're not using the publication's name, but the name of either the writer or the organization. So as you know, we want to use quotations really limited. Here's a list of things that we would ask. Do I need to just cite this? Do I just need to put my citation in? Or do I need quotes and citation? So let's look at the first one. It's not totally abnormal for an artist to be accused of stealing from other artists. Marvin Gaye sued Ed Sheeran for using the same notes as his song, Let's Get It On. What we have here is not a famous quotation. It's not part of a poem. It doesn't really matter the specific words. And so here we would just add the citation at the end. In the next one, hold fast to dreams, for if dreams die, life is a broken winged bird that cannot fly. You might recognize this poem by Langston Hughes. Because this is a poem, and especially because it's a poem that rhymes, we can't change it. We can't paraphrase it, because if we paraphrase it, we're going to lose the true meaning of the thing. When you paraphrase a poem or a song, it's not the same anymore. So this we would put into quotation marks, and then we would add the citation. In the next one, Langston Hughes was raised by his grandmother until he was 13, when he moved to Lincoln, Illinois to live with his mother and her husband before the family eventually settled in Cleveland, Ohio. No special wording here. Paraphrasing does not change the meaning, and so this we will only cite. Next one, the researchers surveyed about 3,000 participants, all of whom had experience using the product in order to better understand reactions to the design. Great, so what we see here is information that does not lose its meaning if we paraphrase it, and so here we just need a citation. The last example here is song lyrics, and they're song lyrics that are written in a very particular voice, right? This is not just that there's a poetry to the lyrics here, but also the way that the lyrics are written in somebody's voice. You can see by the non-traditional spelling of the words that this is somebody's very specific way of speaking. So this we would put in quotations, and then we would attribute it to Beyonce. If you copy and paste from many different sources to make a new sentence, this is not plagiarism, true or false. This is definitely plagiarism. If you copy and paste from different sources and then make one Frankenstein sentence together, it's still plagiarism. It's called mosaic plagiarism. Now, if you share somebody else's ideas, but with your own words. So you read something, you summarize what you read, that's somebody else's ideas, but it's totally your words. Is that plagiarism? The answer is, if you don't cite it, yes. If you don't put a citation, that's plagiarism. But as soon as you put a citation in there, it stops being plagiarism. Submitting a paper someone else wrote for you is plagiarism. I think this one we remember from high school. Yes, that's plagiarism. How about a paper that you already wrote for another class, but is completely written by you? Same thing, you still have to cite yourself. So if you use information from a paper that you wrote before, you have to cite yourself. But if you submit a complete paper that was written by you for another class, this is definitely plagiarism and has the same punishments. All right. So if we look at this list, I have no idea why this is here. So I'm going to skip it. So these are the questions from the plagiarism quiz. You're welcome to take the quiz again now that you've watched the video. If you have any other questions about plagiarism or things are still unclear, please feel free to shoot me an email and let me know. Hope this helps.